Welcome to the #1 source for information, news, and opinion on your Columbus Blue Jackets. This is CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. You can also find the audio version on the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now here's your host, Bob McGalligan.
Welcome to another Monday Mailbag edition of CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. The Blue Jackets ready to get back to work at the Ohio Health Ice House this week as they prepare then to take off next weekend, or this coming weekend, I should say now. They get prepared to take off for Toronto, where they will practice. They will play an exhibition game, almost had a preseason game. It's not really that. An exhibition game against the Boston Bruins, and then they will get into their qualifying series with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That, of course, gets underway on August the 2nd. That's when that series will begin. It's a best-of-5 between the Blue Jackets and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's just a couple more days on home ice for the Blue Jackets before they take off and they head to Toronto and get into the bubble. The bubble, where we do we get even to see what the bubble is all about? How much behind the scenes within the bubble will there be? That's a good question. What is the bubble? What will the bubble be? That's the question for so many people. John Tortorella joined Jody Shelley and I on the Inside Edge last week. We talked about the bubble, and he admitted nobody really knows what it's going to be like. So that'll be interesting, and it is going to be life for the National Hockey League players as long as they are alive in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I was at the early part of camp this week. I missed the last couple of days of camp because my son was playing in a baseball tournament out in the Indianapolis area. I mean, we were all and around downtown of Indianapolis the last couple of days for baseball. Last big trip he's going to take, actually, because he's 18. He'll be moving on. So it was the under 18 or the 18 and under, however you want to put it, national championships out there. Didn't do bad. Went 2-2, and then rain came yesterday and wiped the rest of it out. One of the teams they lost to during the pool play, which is the early games, the first 3 games, won the whole thing. So, measure that for what it's worth. But I got to tell you, and I've been going to baseball tournaments now for the last couple of weeks. And I was talking about the bubble, and nobody knows what the bubble is going to be like and what's going to happen in the bubble and how is life going to be and all that stuff. The only place that I have found a sense of normalcy in the last month to, 4 to 5 weeks, let's say, the last 4 to 5 weeks, the only place that I have actually felt like normal life is at travel baseball tournaments. And I don't know how many of you, maybe you have a son that's playing travel baseball. If you've been to any of these, I don't know if you have similar stories, but it's been nice. I mean, even going to the ice house, it's great to go and watch the players, but I've got to sign in. I've got to get my temperature taken. I've got to wear a mask. I can only take that mask off when I'm broadcasting the live stream. So it's semi-normal, but it's not completely normal. It's more normal for the players, obviously, because the players are just on the ice doing their thing, and they're in their element there. They're doing what they have always done. So I would think their sense of normalcy is there. My sense of normalcy is going to these baseball tournaments, and it really is kind of a break, quite honestly. Now, it started a little bit off, if you will. I mean, the home plate umpire not being behind the plate, being behind the mound in the first weekend, and then the umpire not having extra balls for when a ball is fouled out of play. The next ball had to come in from the dugout of the team who was in the field. But, after that, it's pretty much gotten back to business as usual. So it's nice, and it's relaxing, and it is refreshing. But I'm ready to get back to work this week. I'm ready to see what the Blue Jackets are going to do in this camp this week and the final couple of days that they're in Columbus before they depart for Toronto to get inside the bubble, to get ready for their exhibition game, to get ready for their qualifying series with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So a lot of it is exciting. And again, getting back to the ice house for me is exciting, and talking about the players and getting back to work. I'm very much looking forward to that this week. Now, I'm going to go to your questions. This was all a big lead up, actually, to the first question because it's talking about camp and talking about this first week. And I know there are some things that happened while I was gone. There was a scrimmage that was played, but all more importantly, there was an old recognizable face that was back on the ice. Let's talk about that right now. As I go to your questions on Twitter, you can always send those questions to me on Twitter by sending them to @BobbyMacSports, BOBBYMAC Sports. That's all you got to do. You can do that. Also, if you are ever inclined, you can record your question either as a voice memo on your phone or you can do it as a video recording. Doesn't matter. Voice memo if you are too shy to be on video, or video if you're cool with that. Doesn't matter. Those you send to me at BobbyMac@BlueJackets.com. Again, BOBBYMAC @BlueJackets.com. So to get to this question, the first question on Twitter comes from Jody, who says, and it's not Jody Shelley, by the way. It says, what in the first week of training camp has pleasantly surprised you? Well, I'm going to go back and start with my answer where I started, with a sense of normalcy for the players. I like the energy on day one. I liked how they came back. I talked about this a lot throughout the course of the week. It's like the first day of school, but a little bit different because they never were able to finish the season, right? They never had that finality of losing a playoff series and then having to wait for the beginning of the next season. They were ripped away from their friends this time. It wasn't self-inflicted, which is kind of what it is when you lose a playoff series, right? You weren't good enough, and so you're gone, and somebody else gets to continue to play on. It wasn't self-inflicted. Everything stopped. They were separated from their teammates, from their friends, from their coaches, all of that. So when they came back last Monday, the energy and the smiles was very noticeable. And, you could feel the energy. And it was nice. Again, I used the word normalcy. That's what it was in many ways. Again, so I looked around and saw everybody wearing a mask. That wasn't normal. But it was an improvement. I'll give you that. But it still wasn't normal. But for the players and the coaches and going through the drills and doing everything they do, it was fun. It was fun. But the biggest surprise, again, came, just the other day. Josh Anderson was on the ice pre-practice. Josh Anderson's trying to come back from shoulder surgery. Haven't seen Josh in months. Didn't know if we would see Josh. Talked about him being on the playoff roster, and the Blue Jackets were going to hold a spot for him, as well they should, because if at any point Josh Anderson is able to play, he makes this team better. No question. Makes them better, without a doubt. What he did in the playoff series last year against the Tampa Bay Lightning, outstanding. Unbelievable. They need Josh Anderson. If he can play at any point, maybe it's not against Toronto, but maybe it's somewhere down the line, he's got to be on the roster. He's got to be. And then there's a lot of questions in the future with Josh Anderson, restricted free agent, new contract or not. Who cares about any of that? Right now, your care is to win 3 out of 5 against the Maple Leafs and move on. Josh Anderson certainly helps you do that. And John Tortorella, after practice the other day, talked about speed. He is looking for speed, especially in this series, in this matchup against Toronto, because they are really fast. I was going to say they're lightning quick, and then I backed off of that because they're not Tampa. I mean, Tampa literally is the Lightning. So I decided to go the different direction, but I could go with lightning quick because I hope that's the same way they exit the chance to go into the round of 16 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I hope they're out lightning quick, just like Tampa was last year. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it's very possible. But John Tortorella said that he's looking for speed, and he needs speed in this series. He needs speed overall in this game today. But last week we talked about Liam Foudy being in Group 1, played 2 games during the regular season. got 1 point, an assist against the Buffalo Sabres. We talked about that and throughout the course of the week and why he was in Group 1, Nathan Gerbe was not. John Tortorella said it flat out. Said, I'm looking for speed over what some other guys bring to the table. Over what some other guys bring to the table. So he is openly admitting that he is willing to sacrifice some grit for speed. And there's no other way to put it. If you have Nathan Gerbe in the second group and not in the first group, which is the playing group, that is where you stop the discussion right there. There's nowhere else to go. Nathan Gerbe, and he's fast. I mean, he's small and quick, but he's grit. Liam Foudy is young and fast and not so much grit. But that's fine. That's fine. You got to go with your gut, and you got to go with what the other team has. And the other team has speed to burn. And the Blue Jackets have to keep up with them. They have to keep up with them. So if Liam Foudy gives you a better chance to do that than Nathan Gerbe, so be it. That's how you start anyway. Remember, we're talking about John Tortorella. We're talking about the master of changing his mind on a whim. A master of recognizing, I'm wrong. I've got to fix it. All this isn't working. How can I make it work? That's what he does. I think that's what he does really well. You know, we always talk about line combinations and everybody hangs on them. I've said this a million times on this show. I could care less about line combinations. With John Tortorella, if it ain't working, it ain't staying. And that goes from shift number 1 of the game. If he doesn't like what you're doing in shift number 1, you might not be on that line, right? So again, he wants speed. The beauty of a guy like Josh Anderson is he gives you speed and he gives you grit. Let me rephrase that. He gives you speed and he can give you grit. Now, over the course of a regular season, over the course of 82 games, it's tough to play that in your face over and over and over and over and over. It's very tough to do. Very few do it. But if you can do it and you can do it well, you can make a lot of money in this league. If you're big and fast and can play right in somebody's face, you can make a lot of money in this league. Look no further than Tom Wilson, who everybody loves to hate. Everybody loves to hate him. But if you could sign him, if you could have him, tell me you wouldn't take him. And if you said you wouldn't, I'll call you a liar right to your face. I'd take him 10 out of 10 times, 100 out of 100 times. No question. Wouldn't blink. If I could meet the price and he was available, and I'm talking about right now, not 5 years from now. I'm talking about at the top of his game right now. I'd take him in an instant, in a heartbeat. No doubt. Josh Anderson can be that player. It's hard to do over the course of 82 games. However, and again, we saw this in the Tampa series last year. You get into a short series, you get into just having to bang some guys around that don't like to get banged around. Josh Anderson is very effective at that. So my pleasant surprise is Josh coming out early and shooting pucks. Little things. It's the little things in life that you have to appreciate and cherish and hope to God they become big things. Really. And if Josh Anderson could play at any point, that would be a big thing. So, Jody, that's my answer to you. That's my biggest surprise at camp. There are other things, just seeing the depth that the Blue Jackets have now with their health. The defense is very deep. The forward lines, as I said, you can mix and match however you want. I like the combinations that he skated with this week. And again, he moves them around a little bit. And that's fine. We don't know what it's going to be until they get through a first period in game 1 against Toronto. But until then, who knows? CBJ abroad. sends this question via Twitter. Who's got the most to prove heading into the playoffs? Who's got the most to prove? Well, I think that there are two people that have a lot to prove, and they play the same position. And their position will determine how successful you ultimately are in this tournament. Jonas Korpisalo and Elvis Merzlikins. And they both have it to prove. Jonas doesn't get off the hook because he's been in the NHL longer. He doesn't get off the hook because he has been in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He doesn't get off the hook because he was an NHL All-Star, or should have been, barring an injury this year. Doesn't get off the hook. No. He doesn't get off the hook because now it could be his job. He could be the number one guy going into game number one. So no way does he get off the hook just because he's been here. Elvis Merzlikins has been on the hook all year long. Came in, much heralded, lines from the organization in past years like the best goalie that's not playing in the NHL. Comes in, immediately is fighting the puck, struggling. Loses 7 games in a row. He's 0-7. When he gets his first professional win, it's in the American Hockey League for the Cleveland Monsters. He didn't think that was going to be the case. Thought he was coming here. He was going to make an immediate impact, and he was going to be a star, even a superstar. Didn't work out that way at first. But to his credit, when he got the opportunity, he was ready to go, and he made the most of it. Can I just stop right there and tell you, because when I was at this tournament this weekend, there was a situation where a couple of guys who have been waiting to play got a chance to play and had a chance to make a good impression and didn't have their best day. And, when you're talking about, well, I was going to say when you're talking about kids, I'm rooting for them. I'm trying to help them, but I'm the same way with the Blue Jackets. I mean, there's 18, 19, 20-year-old guys on here. I want them to succeed. I want them to do well. I want them to, I want them to earn their money, because that means that they're playing the way they're supposed to, and that probably means the team is winning, and that means my job's easier, and everybody's more happy. Everybody's happier, if I use the right English. So I just wanted to say, so the Merzlikins thing made me think of that, because I was preaching this to 18-year-olds just yesterday. This is life. Life is about getting a chance and making the most of that chance when you get it. Because it might only come your way one time. Whether it's sports or anything else, doesn't matter. It might only come your way one time. When you get your chance, you got to be on it, right? Wasn't it Steve Winwood that sang, when you see a chance, you take it, right? You've got to. And that's what Elvis Merzlikins did. That's my whole point to this. It's what Elvis did. Once he finally got his chance. And look, I understand everything the guy went through. Again, he was a superstar over in Switzerland. Thought he had it all figured out. Was hearing great things. Always patted on the back. Told how great he is. Great. That's fine. And then he came here, and he wasn't so great at first, because he had a lot of things to figure out. He had to figure out the speed. He had to figure out the angles. He had to, learn how to play on a smaller ice surface. And he had to do all of that while facing the best players in the world. The best players in the world. Right in his face. First game he plays in Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby in his face. Evgeny Malkin in his face. Best in the world. Right away. Right out of the chute. He didn't adjust as quickly as he wanted to. Okay, fine. But he adjusted. When his chance came, when Korpisalo suffered the injury, when the Blue Jackets were playing well, when they needed him, he was there. He took advantage of it. And that's why I'm talking about him right now. Had he not done that, had Korpisalo stayed healthy, had things continued on the trajectory that they were on, maybe I'm not even having this long of a conversation about this right now. But I am, because it did happen. And Elvis was ready when it happened. We didn't know he was ready. Maybe part of him didn't even know he was ready. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, I knew it was coming, and I knew that he was going to just light the world on fire, and I knew that he would be talked about all across the land. I'm not going to tell you that because I didn't know. He didn't give me reason to believe at first, but he believed in himself, and he got through his own struggles, and he has admitted all of that on shows all over the place. Let's go do the search. I talked to him. Jody Shelley and I talked to him early in the pandemic, and I talked with him and Nick Foligno when they won the Best Selly Award. He admits it. He knows. And I love that about him, too. He's not trying to fool anybody. He's not trying to fool anybody. Came right on and he said, you know what? I wasn't good. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't even close to good enough, but he got good enough. So those two guys have the most to prove. Really, for both of them, it's a do-over. Now you've got to prove it again. Jonas, you proved you could handle the number one job. That's great. Can you handle it in the playoffs? Elvis, you've proved that you can play in the National Hockey League. Can you play in the Stanley Cup playoffs? They got to prove it. So that's who has the most to prove in this series. No question about it. No, it's not even a debate in my mind. It's not. And they need help. They do need help. They'll get defensive help from that defense. Those guys will block shots. They'll get the puck out from in front of the net. They'll transition it back to the forwards, all that. They'll get that help. But they also need other help, which leads me to my next question. And this is from Sports Cbus. It says, how many goals per game do the Blue Jackets need to score to have a chance of winning against Toronto's high-powered offense? 3, 4, and who's going to score those goals? Oh, there's the tough question. The number is easy. Yeah, 3 or 4. I say 3 or 4. 3 if your defense is locked in like it was against Tampa. If you're shutting them down and taking away all of their offense, 3 will do you. But 4 is more likely, I think. Give yourself a cushion, Give yourself a cushion. So, who is going to score them? Oh, boy, don't we wish we knew. Because for the Blue Jackets, sometimes getting 3 or 4 goals is a tall order. However, a healthy Oliver Bjorkstrand puts you in a really good spot. A healthy Cam Atkinson puts you in a good spot. I'm going to be watching Cam Atkinson. I really am. This year was a disappointing one for him. Played the last 2 years with Artemi Panarin. Panarin set the table for him like nobody else has that he's played with since he's been here. Let's be honest. He lost that. He struggled through it. He had some injuries. He could be a breakout guy in these playoffs. He could be because he's a sniper. When he's on, he's a sniper. The Blue Jackets need him to be that. And who he's playing with, how it all works out. If he's with Wenberg loves to dish it and put it right where you can have success. So we'll see. But Cam's got to score goals. Try it again. He is a goal scorer, and he needs to score goals. Simple as that. Oliver Bjorkstrand being healthy and being a guy that is finally looks like he's coming into his own, he's got to score goals. No doubt about it. So those two guys are predominantly have to get goals. They need goals off the blue line. That's going to make them even more dangerous. Zach Werenski needs to keep stepping it up offensively. I mean, he's had a great year, 20 goals off the blue line. I mean, he is legit, real deal, offensive threat from the blue line. Seth Jones didn't have a big offensive year this year, but he is capable of scoring. They need that punch from him when they can get it. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, hot and cold guy throughout this year. What did he wind up with? 17 goals. And he's had, his first 2 years, he had 20 plus. Now, he didn't get the full complement of games to do it. So I'm not trying to bag on him here. I mean, maybe if they play out the rest of the regular season, he gets what he needs. But He's going to be really important. He's got to get some goals. I think he's got to get some goals. I would rather see with him, quit trying to set guys up and score. Just score. Well, and who's he? Is he going to be with Bjorkstrand and Texier when it's, when push comes to shove? I don't know. But anyway, he's got to score. Texier is another guy that, he can pop some in. If he's feeling healthy and feeling good, we saw what he did last year, the end of the regular season in those two games, and then in the playoffs, he's a threat. But they're also going to get – this is what I really think. If they're going to win this series, all the guys I talked about that can score pretty goals, they've got to do that. But the bottom line is your Boone Jenners, Nick Foligno's. Again, Josh Anderson would fall into this category if he's healthy enough to play when we get there. Riley Nash, Eric Robinson, dirty goal guys. Not 30, dirty. Dirty goals. They've got to they can't be looking to score highlight reel goals. The Leafs will be doing that. That's what they'll be trying to get the prettiest goals you ever did see. And they may get a bunch of them. Who knows? But for the Blue Jackets, I would go ugly early. Just get that rebound and that trash in front of the net and put it behind Anderson and celebrate. So who's going to score those goals? Well, those snipers I talked about, they better be. But the real answer to the question is everybody has got to score the goals. Everybody. And I heard people this week going, I really like what Emil Bemstrom looks really good in this camp. And I hope he's good. I hope he's good. But I'm not pinning my hopes on a rookie. Just not. Liam Foudy, I hope he's good. I know he can score. Am I pinning my hopes on him to put up a bunch of the goals? No. No, I'm not. It's a playoffs. Comes down to your best. Comes down to your Bjorkstrands and your Atkinsons and your Dubois. And your Gus Nyquist. I haven't even mentioned him. Here's a veteran guy. I don't care if he scores pretty or ugly. Just score pretty often. So that's my opinion. That's what I think. And that's where I am on all of that. Okay? That's where I am on all of that. Camp this week. Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the evening. All of these will be live streamed, by the way. Tuesday night of scrimmage at 7 o'clock, live streamed. BlueJackets.com, all the Blue Jackets channels, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Something else I'm forgetting, I'm sure. Then Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, 11 in the morning. Friday at noon. And Saturday at 11 in the morning. And Saturday will be the last day. Blue Jackets will leave on Sunday to head up to Toronto. So, again, live streams Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. Go to BlueJackets.com to get the schedule and, again, figure out where is easiest and best for you to watch and listen and all of that stuff. So I'll be back at camp this week along with Jody Shelley, Jean-Luc Grandpierre, Jeff Rimmer, and Dylan Tyre from the Blue Jackets Radio Network. We'll all be there talking to you and maybe even with you. Who knows? Maybe we'll make it interactive a little bit, take some of your tweets or whatever. I think that would be fun to do. So anyway, go to BlueJackets.com. You can find the schedule, and you can watch us and listen to us coming up this week. The exhibition game against the Boston Bruins is July 30th. We're going to carry that on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. I know that for a fact. I'll just tell you the things I know. We're going to do that game on the radio network on July 30th. And then, as I said earlier, first game against Toronto is on August the 2nd against the Maple Leafs. Qualifying round series. That game will get underway at 8 o'clock that night. I had to think for a second, not 7, 8 o'clock, because the games are going to be played 3 a day, noon, 4, and 8. So 8 o'clock, the late slot for the Blue Jackets and the Leafs in game 1. So I think I've covered it all for today. I hope I've covered it all for today. Actually, I have, because I'm going to wrap it up right now. So if I missed something, I'll have to tweet you an apology or something later. I don't know, whatever. Again, don't forget, you can always send your questions to me on Twitter, at Bobby Mac Sports. You can also record a video, record a voice memo on your phone. You can email it, Bobby Mac, BOBBYMAC at BlueJackets.com. Always very simple to do. We're cranking it up here. We're cranking it up, people. You better be ready because these practices will only last a short period of time, and then it'll be exhibition game, and then it'll be right into the series, and then it's anybody's guess how long the Blue Jackets play summer hockey. Anybody's guess. And it is going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for your questions today. Thanks for tuning in as always. That'll wrap up this Monday Mailbag edition of CBJin30 presented by Telhio Credit Union. Until next time, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.